The colony of Zypherin IX was quiet that morning, but the silence carried a tension that no one could ignore. The sky, a pale shade of lavender, stretched over the jagged metal and stone structures that the settlers called home. Among them, a small group of children huddled in the shadow of a half-collapsed building, their stomachs aching, not from hunger alone, but from the weight of loneliness and fear. These children, the offspring of a human mother long gone and an alien father who had abandoned them for power and convenience, had been left to face the harsh world of Zypherin IX alone. Their stepfather, a tall and cold alien named Varkin, had never cared for them. When they were younger, he had indulged them in food and toys, but it had never been out of love. He had viewed them as burdens, liabilities that needed to be tolerated rather than cherished. Over the years, his presence became a looming shadow of authority. And now, when he left them stranded in the outer sector of the colony, the children understood for the first time that they were truly alone. Varkin had abandoned them without warning, without explanation, leaving only a note that simply said, "Survive or perish." Their other siblings, twin girls named Tira and Mira, clung to each other, their wide eyes scanning the barren landscape for any sign of life. "We have to find food," Lyra said softly, her voice carrying a firmness that surprised even her. "We can't wait here. If we do, we won't last the day." How could 4 children survive in a world designed for adults, filled with dangers they had only heard of in stories? Predators roamed the rocky plains, scavengers that could tear a child apart in moments. The colony's automated systems were failing, and supplies were scarce in the sectors farthest from the center. Yet they had no choice. Survival was the only path forward. The children began to move cautiously, their bare feet crunching against the gravelly ground. Lyra led them, navigating through debris and broken machinery, avoiding patrols that might mistake them for trespassers or worse. Hunger gnawed at them, and their bodies were weak from days without proper nourishment. They found scraps of nutrient packs abandoned by other settlers, but it was never enough. Every meal was a fight against despair. As they scavenged, a distant sound caught their attention, a hum low and steady, unlike anything in the natural environment. Kale tilted his head, trying to locate the source. The hum grew louder, mechanical, rhythmic. Lyra signaled for the others to stop and crouch behind a pile of metal rubble. A sleek starship descended from the sky, moving with a precision and elegance that seemed almost impossible. Its metallic surface reflected the pale sunlight, glinting like liquid silver. The children watched in awe as it landed smoothly, the engines whispering rather than roaring. They had seen ships before, but nothing like this. It was too small for a transport, too nimble for a cargo vessel. The door opened and a figure emerged. Human, lithe, tall, and confident. His uniform was practical, worn from travel but maintained with care. He scanned the area with a calm intensity, eyes sharp and aware as if nothing could surprise him. The children, frozen in place, stared. No human had been in this sector for decades. The last they had heard, humans rarely visited Zypherin IX, leaving the colonies to their alien overseers. "Are you lost?" Kale whispered, unable to contain himself. The human looked directly at them and smiled, a gesture so warm and genuine it made the children instinctively relax. "Maybe," he said, his voice smooth and steady. "But I think I might have found exactly who I was looking for." The moment they tasted it, relief and delight spread through their bodies. Strength returned slowly, warmth replaced the cold ache in their stomachs. "My name is Captain Elias," the human said, kneeling to meet their eyes. "I'm here to help. You won't be alone anymore. No one can replace what was lost, but I can make sure you survive, and maybe, just maybe, thrive." Elias showed them how to operate simple systems, how to generate clean water, and even how to create small amounts of food with the ship's replicator. It was more than survival, it was education, empowerment. Days turned into weeks. Under Elias' guidance, the children learned quickly. Lyra mastered navigation and communication devices. Kale learned basic engineering, taking apart machines and putting them together with precision. Tira and Mira discovered their hybrid abilities, the strength of their alien heritage combined with human adaptability. They could move faster, climb higher, and react quicker than most adults in the colony. Elias didn't just teach them skills, he taught them confidence, strategy, and the importance of working together. He encouraged curiosity, asking them questions and rewarding ingenuity. Slowly, the children began to see themselves not as abandoned or weak, but as capable and intelligent. Yet danger still lurked. Other colonists, hearing rumors of a human with hybrid children, became wary. Some were curious, others hostile. One evening, while scavenging for additional supplies outside the ship, the children encountered a patrol of alien enforcers. The enforcers had heard of humans acting beyond their usual scope and came to investigate. They demanded to know why children were left to roam freely under a human-esque care. Elias stepped forward calmly. "They are under my protection," he said, "and I will answer only as much as I see fit." The message was clear. These children were no longer powerless, and their human guardian was not to be underestimated. One night, as the children slept in the ship's quarters, Elias sat with Lyra, looking at the stars through a panoramic window. "You've been through a lot," he said softly. "Your stepfather didn't see your potential, but I do. Humans. We believe in lifting others, in teaching, in guiding. That's what I want for you. The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans and those we raise can achieve incredible things. They learn to use their hybrid abilities in clever ways, combining alien strength with human ingenuity." One afternoon, while scavenging near the edge of the colony, the children came across the remains of an old settlement destroyed by a natural disaster years ago. Elias showed them how to repurpose the materials to build small shelters and traps for food gathering. He explained how humans use tools not only to survive but to shape their environment. The children marveled at the way simple objects, used cleverly, could multiply their effectiveness many times over. As their skills and confidence grew, so did the bond between them and Elias. He was no longer just a savior. He became a father, a mentor, and a symbol of hope. The children began to speak openly of the past, sharing memories of fear, hunger, and their stepfather's cruelty. Elias listened patiently, never judging, always guiding them to see that their past did not define their future. One evening, as the purple skies darkened into the brilliant hues of Xiferin IX's twin moons, a faint signal appeared on the ship's communication console. Elias studied it, brow furrowed. It was faint, encrypted, but familiar. The signal was from other humans, traders, and explorers who had heard of his mission and were approaching the sector. Lyra looked at him, curiosity and excitement mixing in her gaze. "Are more humans coming? They'll see that humans, even in the far reaches of the galaxy, can raise the next generation to survive, to thrive, and to inspire." They had survived hunger, cruelty, and abandonment, but more importantly, they had discovered strength, courage, and the power of care that went beyond species or bloodlines. The colony of Xiferin IX had abandoned them, but humanity had not. And as the first human ships approached from the distance, the children looked up at the stars, knowing that their journey was only beginning. The galaxy had yet to see what humans could teach, build, and inspire, and soon they would learn that under the guidance of a human, even the most abandoned children could rise to greatness. Elias watched them from the bridge, his eyes reflecting the twin moons. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also a profound sense of hope. These children, once abandoned and hungry, were now the seeds of something extraordinary, and he knew without a doubt that the universe would never underestimate humans, or those they nurtured, again. The hum of the starship filled the night air as the children settled down to rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and perhaps the first true adventures of their lives. But tonight, for the first time, they slept without fear, knowing that a human had taken the place of the father who abandoned them, and that together they would face whatever the galaxy had in store. The stars above shone brighter than ever, and somewhere deep in the universe, the seeds of human ingenuity and compassion began to take root. The arrival of the human traders brought excitement and unease to the colony of Xiferin IX. The children watched from the ship's observation deck as sleek vessels, similar to Elias, but larger, glided through the lavender sky. Each ship carried humans, explorers, engineers, and even scientists, drawn by stories of the starship captain who had rescued abandoned hybrid children. The news had spread quickly through encrypted channels, and now curiosity had turned into action. Elias gathered the children on the bridge, explaining what was about to happen. "These humans are not here to take you away," he said, his voice steady. "They are here to help, to share knowledge, and to see the work we've done. But remember, not everyone will understand what we are building here. Some may be cautious, others jealous, and a few may even see us as a threat. Always stay close, always stay alert. We've come this far because of you, Elias. We're ready for whatever comes next." They carried tools, devices, and containers filled with supplies far more advanced than anything the children had ever seen. Elias welcomed them, explaining who the children were and the circumstances of their survival. "These children have learned to thrive in an environment most adults couldn't manage," he said. "They have hybrid abilities, intelligence, and courage beyond their years. They are living proof that humans and hybrids can achieve remarkable things together." They worked alongside the children, who were eager to demonstrate their skills. Kale proudly showed off a water filtration system he had built, while Tira and Mira climbed the rocky walls of nearby structures, their hybrid abilities allowing them to navigate the terrain effortlessly. But not all attention was positive. Word of a human protecting and training hybrid children reached the ears of rival alien factions. These aliens, jealous of the children's abilities and wary of humans' unpredictability, began plotting. They believed humans could not be trusted, that their presence threatened the established order of the colonies. One evening, as the children were exploring the outskirts of the colony under Elia's supervision, a squad of alien enforcers appeared. They were armed and imposing, their glowing eyes scanning the area. Lyra stepped forward, her posture confident despite the tension. Elias raised a hand. "Stay calm. Observe. Humans do not act out of fear, only strategy. You may try to challenge me, but you will find humans are not so easily defeated." Humans were not predictable, and humans with hybrids were even more dangerous. After the encounter, Elias gathered the children. "This was only the beginning," he said. "Other factions will test us. They will try to intimidate, manipulate, and perhaps even attack. But we are ready. You have the skills, the intelligence, and the courage to face them. We won't be afraid." Lyra focused on leadership and strategy, understanding that survival required not just strength but intelligence and foresight. One day, while exploring a distant part of the colony, the children discovered an abandoned research station. Inside, they found old equipment, data logs, and supplies that had been forgotten. Elias guided them in repurposing the technology, teaching them how to repair devices and use the information to improve their colony. The children were amazed at what they could achieve when they combined human knowledge with their natural abilities. But the galaxy was not patient. News of the human captain and his hybrid Proteges reached distant systems. Other alien leaders saw an opportunity, or a threat. A coalition formed, planning to send a fleet to subdue the colony, capture the children, and eliminate the human influence. Elias prepared for the inevitable confrontation. He trained the children in tactics, teaching them how to anticipate enemy moves, create traps, and use the environment to their advantage. They practiced defensive maneuvers, building barriers and sensors around the colony. Every day, they grew stronger, more confident, and more united. The first attack came under the cover of a violent storm that swept across Xiferan IX. Alien ships descended, their weapons ready, but Elias and the children were prepared. Using a combination of clever engineering, hybrid abilities, and human strategy, they set traps, created diversions, and led the attackers into narrow passages where their numbers counted for little. Lyra coordinated the defenses, issuing instructions with clarity and precision. Kale managed energy supplies and communication devices, ensuring the colony could respond dynamically. Tira and Mira moved like shadows, striking when necessary and disappearing before the enemy could react. The aliens were stunned. They had expected easy victories, but humans and hybrid children fought with coordination, courage, and ingenuity. Every move seemed unpredictable, every tactic creative. Elias smiled quietly as he watched the battle unfold, proud of the children who had once been abandoned and weak. By the end of the day, the attackers had retreated, their confidence shaken. Rumors of the human captain and his hybrid Proteges spread further, inspiring fear and respect across the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as helpless explorers or traitors. They were leaders, innovators, and protectors. The victory brought a moment of celebration. The children, exhausted but exhilarated, shared food and laughter. Elias looked at them, feeling a profound sense of pride. "You've done more than survive," he said. "You've shown that humans and hybrids together can achieve the impossible. And this is only the beginning." In the quiet moments, when the colony slept under the twin moons, Elias and the children discussed the future. They talked about exploration, about building alliances, and about spreading the knowledge they had gained. The children realized that humans could do more than just survive. They could shape the galaxy, teaching others, building new worlds, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. One evening, a message arrived from a distant human fleet. They were sending more supplies, more teachers, and reinforcements. Elias decoded the transmission and smiled. "The galaxy is starting to pay attention," he said, "and they are learning what humans are capable of." Days turned into weeks, and the colony grew stronger. The children continued to train, explore, and learn. Elias taught them diplomacy, the importance of alliances, and how to use their abilities to inspire others rather than dominate. They began to see themselves not just as survivors, but as leaders, capable of shaping the future of Sci-Fi IX and beyond. One afternoon, while surveying the colony's perimeter, Lyra noticed movement on the horizon, ships approaching, but not human. Aliens, larger and more organized than the previous attackers, were heading toward them. She signaled Elias, who calmly assessed the situation. "This is the test," he said. "Everything we've done, every lesson we've learned will be put to the test. But I have faith in you. We are ready." As the alien ships drew closer, the children stood together, their hybrid abilities enhanced by the human strategies they had learned. They were no longer abandoned, no longer weak. They were a team, united by trust, knowledge, and the guidance of a human who had chosen to become their father. The first clash was imminent, but the children were ready. And somewhere deep in the cosmos, the galaxy began to take notice of a small colony on Sci-Fi IX, where humans and hybrids had turned abandonment into strength, fear into courage, and survival into legend. The stars above glimmered as if in anticipation, and Elias, watching his family of children, knew that the story of humans and hybrids was only beginning. The universe would learn in time that under human guidance, even the most unlikely survivors could rise to greatness and leave a mark no force could erase. The alien fleet loomed on the horizon, dark and intimidating against the lavender sky of Sci-Fi IX. Their ships were massive, weapons gleaming, and the hum of their engines filled the air like a storm about to break. The children stood on the observation deck of Elias' starship, their faces determined and focused. They had trained for this moment, learned strategy and tactics from a human who had taken the place of the father they had lost, but now the test was real. Elias gathered them, his calm voice cutting through the tension. "This is it," he said. "Every lesson, every skill, every decision you've made up until now will be put to the test. Remember, humans survive not by brute force alone, but by thinking, adapting, and working together. Stay united, stay clever, and stay fearless. We will protect our home, our family, and what we have built. No one will take that from us." Small drones, energy barriers, and automated turrets now stood ready along the perimeter of the colony. As the alien ships approached, the defenses activated, sending pulses of energy and alerts through the enemy lines. The aliens hesitated, confused by the sudden resistance. Humans were known for their ingenuity, but few had seen it combined with hybrid abilities in such a coordinated way. Kale activated a series of devices he had built, creating holographic decoys that made the enemy think they were facing far larger forces. Tira and Mira moved swiftly, using their hybrid agility to sabotage the enemy ships, engines, and communication arrays. Lyra directed the operations with precision. She coordinated the children's actions, anticipating enemy movements and adjusting their strategy in real time. Each decision was calculated, yet fluid, allowing the children to respond to unexpected challenges. Elias watched with quiet pride, seeing the lessons he had taught come alive in action. The alien commanders were growing frustrated. Their overwhelming numbers and advanced technology should have guaranteed victory, yet they found themselves outmaneuvered by a small group of children guided by a single human. They underestimated not only the children's abilities, but also the unique approach humans took to problem-solving, combining instinct, creativity, and courage in ways no alien species had mastered. As the battle intensified, Elias took to the ship's tactical controls. He piloted the starship with precision, weaving between enemy fire and launching countermeasures that disrupted the alien fleet. The children followed his lead, their trust in him absolute. Every trap, every diversion, every clever tactic worked in concert, creating confusion among the attackers and buying the colony time to strengthen its defenses. Amid the chaos, a massive alien cruiser broke through the perimeter, aiming directly for the children's shelters. Lyra reacted instantly. "Tira, Mira, use the cliffs." "Kale, activate the energy pulse." The twins leapt into action, scaling the rocky walls with ease and sabotaging the cruiser's weapon systems. Kale triggered the pulse, creating a temporary disruption in the cruiser's shields, allowing Elias to fire a precision strike that disabled the ship without harming the surrounding area. The alien fleet recoiled, realizing that brute force would not win this battle. Their confidence shattered, the commanders began to retreat, leaving a few isolated ships to cover their withdrawal. Elias and the children pursued the remaining vessels cautiously, ensuring that no threat remained near the colony. When the dust settled, the colony stood unscathed. The children were exhausted, their muscles aching from the battle, but their spirits soared. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. Elias gathered them together, pride evident in his eyes. "You've done more than survive," he said. "You've shown the galaxy what humans and hybrids can achieve when they work together. Today, you are no longer just survivors. You are leaders, protectors, and a force to be reckoned with." They were innovators, strategists, and fearless warriors capable of training the next generation to face any challenge. The reputation of Elias and his children grew, inspiring admiration and caution alike. As the colony celebrated, the children reflected on how far they had come. They had been abandoned, hungry, and alone. Their stepfather had left them to perish, believing that they were weak and insignificant. Yet, under the guidance of a human who cared, they had grown stronger, smarter, and braver than he could have imagined. They realized that true strength did not come from dominance or cruelty. It came from knowledge, courage, and the bonds formed through care and trust. In the weeks that followed, Elias worked with the children to further expand the colony. They repaired old structures, built new facilities, and developed sustainable food systems. Kale became an expert in engineering and energy management. Tira and Mira honed their scouting and defense skills, and Lyra refined her leadership abilities. Each child thrived, not just surviving, but growing into capable individuals who could face any challenge. One evening, as the twin moons cast a soft glow over the colony, Elias gathered the children once more. "The galaxy will continue to test us," he said. "Other factions will come, curious or hostile, but we are ready. We are no longer alone, and we are no longer powerless. We have proven that humans, working with those they care for, can achieve extraordinary things. Together, we will continue to grow, to protect, and to inspire. The universe will learn to respect not just humans, but the bonds we form and the strength we create together." The children taught what they had learned, spreading the lessons of survival, strategy, and ingenuity. Scifi IX became a symbol, a place where the abandoned became powerful, where humans showed the galaxy that compassion, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the harshest odds. One day, while exploring the outer reaches of the colony, Kale discovered an ancient artifact buried beneath the rocky soil. It was a device from a civilization long gone, with technology far beyond anything they had seen. Elias examined it carefully, intrigued by the potential it held. Together with the children, they began to unlock its secrets, learning new ways to enhance the colony's defenses, improve life support systems, and explore beyond Scifi IX. The artifact became a symbol of their journey. Just as the children had once been abandoned and overlooked, this technology had been forgotten and left behind. Now, in the hands of humans and hybrids, it had the potential to change their world, and perhaps the galaxy. Word of their success reached distant leaders, who began to reconsider their assumptions about humans. No longer were they seen as fragile or insignificant. Humans were adaptable, courageous, and capable of inspiring greatness in others. The children and Elias had proven that under human guidance, even those once considered weak could rise to extraordinary heights. The ultimate test came when the stepfather, Varkin, learned of the colony's rise. Consumed by jealousy and fear of losing influence, he arrived with a small fleet, intending to reclaim authority over the children. He expected obedience, submission, and fear. Instead, he found something he could never have anticipated: a united family, trained, confident, and fearless. Varkin demanded the children return to him, attempting to intimidate them with threats and aggression. But Elias stepped forward, calm and resolute. "They belong to no one but themselves," he said. "And I will not allow you to harm them or take what they have earned through courage and hard work." In the end, he had no choice but to retreat, humiliated and defeated, realizing that fear and cruelty could never overpower love, guidance, and resilience. With Varkin gone, the children fully embraced their new lives. They continued to explore, innovate, and strengthen the colony. Humans and hybrids worked side by side, teaching and learning, creating a community built on trust, courage, and shared purpose. Scifi IX became a beacon of hope, a living example of what humans could achieve in the galaxy. As the twin moons rose over the horizon, Elias stood with the children, looking at the stars. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The galaxy will continue to challenge us, but we have proven that together we can overcome anything. Humans, hybrids, and those we care for can shape the future, and the universe will remember what we have done here." They had survived hunger, cruelty, and abandonment, but more importantly, they had discovered courage, ingenuity, and the power of care. Under Elia's guidance, they had become a force that the galaxy could not ignore. The stars above shone brightly, as if acknowledging their triumph. And somewhere deep in the universe, the story of humans and hybrids, the tale of resilience, ingenuity, and family forged through choice rather than blood, began to inspire countless others. The galaxy had learned a truth that would never be forgotten. Under the guidance of a human, even the most unlikely survivors could rise to greatness, leaving a legacy that no force could erase. And so, the colony of Scifi IX thrived, a testament to the enduring spirit of humans and their capacity to nurture, protect, and inspire. The children looked to the future with hope, knowing that as long as they had each other and the human who had become their father, nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Elias smiled, watching them play and learn, the bond between them stronger than any starship or weapon. They had survived the impossible, turned fear into courage and hunger into ingenuity. They had become legends, not because of bloodline, but because of choice, guidance, and the unbreakable human spirit. The universe had taken notice, and humanity's true strength, the ability to lift others, to teach, and to inspire, had been revealed in the farthest reaches of Scifi IX. The children, once abandoned, had become the living proof that under a human's guidance, the impossible was always within reach.